Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday for this week. So remember, with our Wisdom Wednesday, this is just a generalized spiritual discussion, and the topic is just chosen by what I feel intuitively, the energies that we are currently working with, and then a tool or a technique that we can use that can really help us to really use that energy to the highest and best. And so this week, it's all about imagination and play, because we have this beautiful new moon eclipse in Taurus, which is really elevating those energies of prosperity, relationships, and of course, setting those intentions. So we want to start playing with and start imagining. And so before I get into any of that, I actually want to tell you a personal parable, how imagination and play, how I have used them in my current manifestations or in current things that I'm working on. And so my family and I have really wanted to have our own house. We've been renting for about 8 years and we're just ready to move into something. And, the housing market right now, it's crazy. Prices are huge, interest rates are huge, all this stuff, right? And so, we were just looking at other homes, and something that I was told in a personal channeling, if you will, a personal message, was to flirt with it, to play with the experience. Just play with finding a house, flirt with it. And remember, hi there, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. And so, when it comes to flirting with something, remember, flirting is just putting your loving attention on it. That's all you're doing. You're just like, oh, look at this. Like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is fun. Oh, this is an experience. Oh, I want to get to know it, right? So you're flirting with it. You're playing with the idea of what might be. You're not putting any definition on it. You're just like, this is what it might be. And imagining, how good it would be or how wonderful, like what are the feelings you're going to experience? Because oftentimes what we have a tendency to do when it comes to intention setting, manifesting, so forth and so on, is we don't play. What we do is we set up a goal, we set up a plan, and we say, okay, this is what I want and this is how I want it. Instead of focusing on the emotion that thing may invoke or activate within us. Because remember, there is nothing outside of you that can make you feel anything. You are interpreting that thing as giving you an emotion. So, for instance, let's say Sonia Choquette, sent me this. Let's just say she sent me this, fun Leo bracelet, okay? And if she sent that to me, of course, great honor, great fabulousness. But it doesn't mean anything until I put the meaning on it. So I look up to Sonia Choquette. I think she's wonderful. I think she's great. And let's say I lost that bracelet. Now, does that mean I've lost her love? Does that mean I've lost my amazement for her? Does that mean I've lost anything? No, unless I am putting the value for her in that bracelet. So we don't want to put a value necessarily in a thing. We want to put the value in the emotion that it activates within us. I'm going to say it again. We want to play with the emotion that is activated within us when we think about that thing that we are desiring. What is the emotion? Is it happiness? Is it joy? Like, what is that? Because that's what you really want to experience. And yes, that thing may assist you in that, but it is not the source of it. And that's what we have to remember. The physical thing is not the source of your happiness. It's not the source of your safety. It's not the source of anything. It is merely a symbol. That's it. And so when we start playing with intentions and manifesting, we really just want to play and not put it like set in stone, right? And so back to my personal parable. So we were looking around, we looked at a lot of different homes and just weren't finding anything. And we had already 2 years ago kind of looked into building our own with Harbor Homes, and then just pulled out because the neighborhood was too far away and the housing prices were crazy, so forth and so on. And so we just started to flirt with that idea again. Just be like, oh, wouldn't it be nice? That's an Abraham tool. Wouldn't it be nice Wouldn't that be nice? And just wondering, wow. And remember, what is wonder? Wonder isn't saying, I wonder how this is going to happen. I wonder how I'm going to get this. No. Oh, wow, I wonder about the magic. I wonder about this experience, and just being very open-minded about it. Or what would it, if you had a genie, what would it be like, to just make that wish, right? It's not wishful thinking. It is intentional play with the universe. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're doing this intentional play. And something that you can consider that as, remember when we were children and you would play like make-believe games? For me and my friends, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like all day, right? And so I always remember I wanted to be Master Splinter. Like that was my jam. I was like, I'm Master Splinter. You guys are, the other Ninja Turtles that they wanted to be. But I didn't care. I was like, I am Master Splinter. I want to send you guys on missions, so forth and so on. Well, sometimes we would be imagining this, and then my friends, they would imagine something else and be like, hey, Master Splinter, what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? And I would play with whatever they gave me instead of being like, well, that's not it. Now, granted, sometimes was that the case? Yes. But a good majority of the time, you would just kind of play back and forth with this imagination. They'd give you, well, I have this power. And you'd be like, okay, well, this happened. And so it's just that fun interaction. It's that fun play. And it's that adaptability. And, something I told a client of mine that I have taken with me, because any message I give to a client is always a message for me as well. Adaptability simply means the ability to change your mind. That's it. That's all adaptability is. You have the ability to change your mind about something. And so, when we're children, we're super adaptable. We can change our minds about anything. We're like, oh, and just like in that game of Ninja Turtles, sometimes, they would be fighting ninjas in space. Other times they'd be fighting ninjas, on a subway. I never knew. We were just going to play with it and see what happened. And that was always the fun of it. And once again, that's what intention setting is about. That's what manifestation is about. It's about having the fun. Okay, so back to the story. And so we were flirting with that idea, right? Of living in a house, what would that be like? And I kept on telling everyone in my family, we are flirting. We are having fun with this. We're not putting a stake in anything. And so we, and our realtor, fabulous, wonderful. And she was telling us about the reality that she was a part of. Oh, they're really high. You're not going to necessarily find the perfect house. There's always going to be a problem. And I was like, I don't believe that. That's not the reality that I live in. That's not the reality that I want. And so I'm going to continue to play. I'm going to continue to imagine, universe, I am ready for you to show me something bigger, better, and more. Oh, I'm so ready for it. I wonder what you're going to show me. I wonder how you're going to show it to me. And let me tell you, the universe did not disappoint. We went to just a random place, and they're like, well, we have a spec home. And a spec home, for those of you that don't know, real estate terms, is basically a house that is being built that someone kind of backed out of. They've already put all the upgrades and stuff in it. And so we went there, and he was like, well, we actually have two. And one was, I think $3,000 higher than the other one. But the lower one had more upgrades, was on a better plot of land, and just everything that house had in it, guys, was everything my family and I had dreamt about. The beautiful laminate, hardwood floors, extra padding on the carpets, a backyard that can be fenced in, stainless steel appliances, a deep sink, because we all have really long arms. So just a deep sink, a ceiling fan, a bathtub, all these things, a rough-in for a water softener. Everything that we had dreamed about and wanted was in this house. And we were just like, oh my God. And it was within our price range. We're like, this is amazing. But I had already asked the universe, I was like, okay, if this is for me, then I need a blaring red light being like, this is it, take it. And I said, well, what's the lot number? What lot is it on? Just looking where, what is it, between houses? Is it at the edge of a house? Is it behind a lake? Where is it? And he goes, it's lot 111. I said, sir, we're sold. I said, I don't even need to see it. I am sold. And so we went out there, we saw it, and I said, well, and then we called him and said, well, when is it going to be done? I said, because right now we're renting this house and our lease is done in June. He goes, really? And I said, yeah. Our lease is done in July. And he goes, well, the house will be done in June. He goes, early, like latest July, like 1st or 2nd. And I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, and we see that, you're doing a VA loan because my dad is military. He goes, well, we have this thing where we give you $1,000 for your closing costs. Oh, and since you're using our lender, we're going to go ahead and give you $2,500 towards your closing cost. Guys, that's $3,500 towards closing costs that we don't have to pay. And the house comes exactly as we want it. What we've always dreamed about, what we've always wanted, even to the point where they had quartz countertops. And there's a set of windows that was like conjoined, and they separated them because that's what my mom wanted. That's what she would play with. She'd be like, oh yeah, and she just imagined the light streaming in, and I wanted vaulted ceilings, and we got those. So it's just about playing. It's about imagining, and it's about allowing yourself to receive it, because all too often we do not. We don't allow that play because, like I said, what do? We set forth a plan and say, this is what it has to be. This is how it has to be. We set up the when, where, how, and why, and that's Spirit's job. Our job is just to activate that emotion within us when we think about it, and to go and gravitate towards thoughts that activate those emotions within us. I want you to really consider, when you are writing your intentions, how is it that you're really feeling when you think about them? And be honest with yourself. I actually did this with a client of mine. We did it for New Year's. And so we would, I connected with her. We were on Zoom, and, I just closed my eyes and I was like, okay, tell me your intention. And so, I just closed my eyes and she told me the intention. And I said, how does that really feel? Like, because as she said it, I could feel the vibration. I was like, no, it's off. You're not believing it. And she was like, shit, you're right. I'm not. Like, I don't believe that. And I was like, okay, well, let's rephrase it, or let's use other words. Once again, playing with it, not making it the end all be all. Saying, I just want to play with this. What does this feel like? So maybe you have an intention to be financially free. Like, I want financial freedom. I'm manifesting financial freedom. Okay, think about that. When you say that, does that vibrationally feel good to you? Because when you say it, you're going to know if it feels good or bad, if it feels in alignment or not in alignment. You're going to be able to feel that. And then from there, you can start playing with the words. Because what are words? Words are vibration. They are frequency, and we have the ability to play with them because we can change them, because we are adaptable, because we have the ability to change our minds. We are not setting anything in stone. We are simply saying, this is something I would like to experience. And I know for me, that was a game changer in playing with manifestation, because I thought manifestation was all about being like, this is what I want and this is how I want it. I thought that's what it was. And then I slowly but surely, through my own journey, was like, that's not what it's about at all. It's all just about the way that I feel and like what I want to activate, how I want to feel. So asking yourself, as you're setting these intentions for, this new moon solar eclipse on Saturday, really feeling it. How do I feel about this? As I say the words, as the frequency exits my body, how am I feeling as I say it? Do I really believe it? Does it make me feel good, or does it not? Am I neutral about it? Because if I'm neutral about it, and that's not going to be super helpful either. We want to have momentum with it. We want to have that excitement, happiness, joy, contentment, something that we can move with. We can't really move in neutral, because neutral is I'm not really good about it. I'm not really bad about it. I'm just kind of here about it. So that's something, once again, we play with, we imagine. But like I said, all too often we forget that imagination is the key to intuition. That's how Spirit speaks to us. It speaks to us in imagery. It speaks to us not so much in words. Now, can Spirit speak to you in words? Of course it can. But a good majority of the time, what Spirit is going to do, Spirit is going to speak in the way of imagery, like maybe a swan, maybe you'll see a butterfly, or in my case, 111, or maybe 444. But that's how Spirit's going to speak to you in that realm of symbolism. And we got to have a healthy imagination so that we can actually enjoy that process of the universe telling us you're on the right path, you're going the right way, keep it up. Because let me tell you, the whole time that, we were in this process, I was seeing angel numbers, I was seeing feathers, I was getting signs and symbols telling me the whole time, you're on the right track, you're going the right way, keep on going, don't stop. And I was like, okay, like I'm going, I'm doing it. And so that has been, how I've really just started to play more and be in that childlike wonder. Remember when we were children, and that childlike wonder where we didn't really know what anything was. Like if you saw a rainbow, you're like, oh my God, there's this magical thing outside it and it's amazing. Now you're like, oh, there's a rainbow. That's nice. Get back to that childlike wonder. Wonder again. Wow, be in awe. That's another beautiful emotion. Be in awe. Wow. Everything must be working out for me because I'm outside to see that beautiful rainbow. Or wow, everything must be working out for me. You want to know why? Because I get to see that rainbow. I see numbers and feathers. That's beautiful, Sharon. I love that. And, everyone will see what's good for them. Numbers and feathers, wonderful for you. And, for other people, maybe it's animals. Sometimes when I'm doing a miracle mindset prescription for someone, that's actually part of the process is sometimes I'll see an animal for the week and I'll be like, okay, this is the animal that you're working with. It's an octopus. And sometimes I'll be like, ooh, this is what it means. And then for someone else, I'm like, well, actually, this is what it means for you. That's the beauty. Spirit can speak to us and give us the energetic frequencies that we need to, and that's all we are. We are frequency translators. And so that's what we're doing. We're just translating a frequency. That's really, if you think about any live that I do, I'm just transmitting a frequency. And whatever you pick up from that frequency, great, wonderful. Like that's for you. That's what you needed in that moment. But we're all doing that all the time. So really start becoming more and more aware. What's the frequency? What am I embodying? What are my thoughts? What are my feelings right now? And once again, this isn't to be toxic positive and be like, oh my God, I can only be positive. I can only be positive. We feel our emotions. We allow them to run through us. And here's another part of that story. I just found out today, like an hour ago, that we were approved for that loan from that company. Like I just found out. And so what I did for myself was, let me tell you, there was a lot of anxiety. Oh my gosh, are we going to get this? Because if we don't, then we have to pay more money. And I don't know if we're going to have the money. And I think we do because the universe wants me to have, all these things. And I was like, whoa. And, the funny thing, once again, here comes, Spirit was in my head. And for those of you that are familiar, I heard the Willow Smith song. I left my consciousness in the 6th dimension, but I'm right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now. And I was like, okay, Spirit, I have to be here right now. This is where I have to be. I can't be in the future because I can't really imagine or play in the future. I can imagine and play in here, in this present moment of how good it's going to feel and just releasing that and saying, okay, I don't know. And there was a lot of forgiveness work I had to do as well. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going to forgive it and let it go. I had to forgive myself for believing that, that the divine, or for, in my terms, that God would take away a blessing from me, that he would give me something on a silver platter and then just be like, you know what? Boop, I'm going to take it away from you. I had to forgive that idea that would even be possible. I had to forgive the idea that, the divine could be cruel in any way, shape, or form. I had to forgive the idea that I wouldn't be worthy of miracles. I had to forgive all of these different ideas that were coming up because there was a lot of resistance. And it was because of those ideas. And so for me, I did my forgiveness process. And then I was like, okay, what can I begin to reach towards that's going to feel a little bit better? What thought? And so, I started to appreciate things. And that's just kind of where I was. And I was like, I got to go distract myself because I know myself well enough that I'm like a pit bull. Once I get on something, it's hard for me to kind of let it go. I want to keep at it until I get an answer. And so I was like, no, got to practice acceptance, got to practice what I preach. And I was like, I got to let it go. And so I did things, created things. I wrote more in my book, The Practical Mystic, about judgment and discernment. I went on a walk. I listened to my book. I went to Lowe's and looked at refrigerators and, just anything to distract me, to make me feel good. That's it. And then as we were inside Lowe's, we got a text message on my mom's phone, and it said from, the mortgage company. And it first said, Mary, my apologies. My mom's name is Mary. And then she's like, oh, my, and the person was like, my apologies. And I was like, in my heart, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, I didn't get back to you, but you're approved. And I was like, oh, and it was just that beautiful sigh of relief. And I was just like, wow. And, I was happy the whole time. Like before that even occurred, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just looking at refrigerators being like, ooh, this, and playing with this idea of, ooh, this would look so good there. And I love this stainless steel. Ooh, let's look at this. Like, what is it going to look like on the inside? Where are we going to put things? Ooh, look, there's drawers for my fruit and drawers for, lunch meats. Wow, that's really cool. And just wondering, playing with it. That's it. And through that wonder, through that play, through that ability to imagine, it's really hard for me to put it into words, but literally given to me on a silver platter. And it can happen for all of us because that is what the divine wants. And like I had my forgiveness to do, maybe you have some forgiveness to do as well. Looking at, do you believe that the divine is going to give you what you want? Do you believe that? Do you believe that you're a victim of the world? Do you believe that, because if I went into the reality, let's say that I went into the reality that my realtor was describing to me. Let's say I didn't play instead. Let's say I was just like, yeah, I got to accept that. That's it. There's nothing I can do. Housing prices are crazy. Interest rates are going up. We're never going to get anything. It's just going to be impossible. Like, what if I went into that? What if I just was in that? Well, I wouldn't have found what I found. There wouldn't have been that because I would have already turned it off and I've been like, okay, well, it's just not it. And I was like, no, let's just keep playing. Let's just see what happens. We had another place, we could still rent this place for another year if we needed to. We had another option if we wanted to build somewhere else or look at other houses. There were still, others on the market, and we were just looking at them, having fun with them. And that's it. It's just having fun, imagining and playing and being willing to reach towards those thoughts that feel better. It's not to deny the other thoughts. You can look at them, but you don't need to necessarily play with them. And that's what we all have, including myself, because I've just told you that it's happened. We have a tendency to play with those negative thoughts. And then guess what? We get stuck in them. And then we're like, right? Well, stop playing with them. You can look at them, you can observe them, you can forgive them, and then reach towards something better, reach towards something more, reach towards something happier. And like I said, for me, it's appreciation or gratitude, however you want to use that word. But if you can't get there, that's okay. Reach towards the next thing that you feel that you can, whatever that may be for you. If you're in fear, I was in fear. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, everything is always working out for me. Sharon, that is one of my very favorite sayings. And I've said it on other lives. My first 10 minutes in the morning as I go for my morning walk to take my dog around the block and get my sister on the bus, that's what I say to myself. And actually, this is the way that I say it for me. And if you guys want to have it, you can use these words. Once again, it's just a frequency of vibration that I use. And so the frequency and vibration that I use is, everything is always working out for me, for God walks with me. God walks with me, not because of who I am, but because of what I am. What am I? Spirit am I, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, innocent and provided for in all ways, free to forgive and free to save the world. That's what I just repeat to myself for 10 minutes as I walk. Either in my head or I'm mouthing it. It's what I say. And like I said, if you want to use that frequency, you want to use that vibration, it feels good to you, fabulous. Because I'm reminding myself that everything works out for me, not because I'm Ron Schaefer, but because I am the holy child of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, innocent and provided for, and always free to forgive and free to save the world. Once it can roll off your tongue like that, and you have conviction behind it, you're in business. But see, that's the other thing. It's as we play with it, as we imagine it, we have to have that ability to be like, okay, this is something that I want to experience and have that conviction. I want to experience this. And if you guys go to my YouTube channel, you can actually see where I read chapter 31 of A Course in Miracles, like setting up your day. And I literally go over like the whole entire chapter of how spirit, or how, a technique to help you start your day with spirit and be like, this is what I want to experience. And that's another way I start my day. I meditate, and I'm like, okay, I meditate, and it's just for like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm just like, spirit, I want to experience a day of happiness. I want to experience a day of peace. I want to experience a day of well-being. I want to experience a day of fulfillment. That's it. It's hard to stay positive when you have a negative partner every day. How does someone get through that to stay positive? So here's what I'm going to tell you. So Lisa, number one, let's look at what you just said. So, and I love this, and I thank you so much for asking this question. So you just said, number one, it's hard. So number one, you've already put a connotation and said, well, this is something that is going to be difficult for me. Instead, we could say, okay, this is a little different, because I want to have that support. I want to have, all those beautiful, wonderful things. But like I said, remember, I had a realtor telling me that the market was really crazy. You got to put a bid in, you got to have money, so forth and so on. Once again, do you want to play with that? Because remember, everyone in your life is only playing the role that you have given them. Okay, so maybe something that you could do, not saying that you have to, but it's an option, would be to practice that forgiveness of that person and the role that you have given them. Because you've given him that role. He's acting the way that you believe that they should be acting. That's it. So what we can do is, number one, we take away the word hard. Okay. So instead, how can I stay more in positive alignment? Okay. So notice how we've just shifted that. And I want you to, once again, if that doesn't feel good to you, I want you to play with what does. Instead, but I want to invite you, get rid of the word hard. Okay? So I want to stay more positive. Okay? So how can I stay more positive? Well, once again, something I can do is, number one, reach towards that appreciation, forgive myself for believing that anyone could be a curse in my life, that anyone could possibly bring me down, that anyone has the ability to make me feel negative, to make me feel what they're feeling, because empathy does not mean that. And this is something else that I wrote about in my book, The Practical Mystic, or a chapter that I am writing, is that true empathy means I see where you are, I feel where you are, but instead of going down into that energy with you, I am instead staying in love. Because if I stay in love, then I can be a help to you and to myself. But if I go down to your vibration, I go down to where you are, well, then we're both stuck in the same vibration. And then one of us has to be saner and be like, hey, I want to get out of this and start reaching towards those thoughts that feel better, right? So that in and of itself, forgiveness, first off, forgiving yourself for believing that other people can affect you, that other people have an effect on your energy. And I know that's something that we've all been taught, but where is the world coming from? The world is coming from you. You are not a victim of the world. We're not victims of the world. We get to decide what we're going to feel and who is going to interpret reality for us. Either the ego is going to interpret it, and the ego is always going to say everything is hard, everything is difficult. And that's not to deny what anyone is going through. It's simply to say that the more and more we harp on that, the more and more we beat the drum of everyone around me has control over my emotions, well, then guess what? You get to be right about that. And that's the question. Do you want to be right about that, or do you want to be happy? Which one? Do I want to be right that my partner has the ability to bring me down? Do I want to be right that has to happen? You can grieve for loved ones. You can feel sad. That's fine, but don't go into pity. Pity is something we want to stay away from, because pity is not empathy. That's also something I wrote about today. Pity is where we're saying, you poor, poor little victim. And that's not really love. That's more just us being, that's us saying that someone is a victim of the world. And then if they're a victim of the world, that means we're a victim of the world. What we can do is, if we lose a loved one, or a loved one is, going through a difficult time, we can have that ability to be like, okay, I love you. And I see what you're going through. And, if there's tears that need to come, then there's tears that need to come. But then what we're willing to do after those tears, after we've shed those tears, let that vibration leave us, we get to choose again. I am willing to see you as the holy, blessed child that you are. I am willing to see you differently. I'm willing to have a miracle. And what is a miracle but a shift in perception from fear to love? That's all a miracle is, a shift in perception. Are you willing to be adaptable? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to see the other person differently? Are you willing to see and allow spirit to define the situation for you? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves. Like, am I really willing to have that? If not, then that's okay. The universe will always support you and love you no matter what you choose. Like, that's the beauty of unconditional love. It loves you unconditionally no matter what. So, but we cannot let other people or situations, because once again, the world may be insane. The world may be an insane place, but it doesn't have to be your world. You don't have to choose that. You don't have to choose that. You can choose to see it a different way. It doesn't mean that we deny it, but it does mean we deny the illusion that it is. We see it, we recognize it, and then we instead, as we see it and recognize it, Spirit, what would you have me do here? Spirit, how would you interpret this? Because the ego is going to interpret and say, the world's burning, everyone's dying, everything's terrible. That's what the ego is going to see, because the ego seeks to separate, where spirit seeks union. And we don't know what that union looks like. We don't know. But we can say, Spirit, I need you to guide me. And Lisa, for you, I would also be like, ask, Spirit, please teach me how to remain in a positive vibration. Please teach me, because that's another beauty. Spirit's going to teach you if you ask earnestly. If you're like, I'm willing to be taught, teach me. I had to ask Spirit to teach me how to be happy. I had to ask Spirit to teach me to play. I had to ask Spirit to teach me a lot of things. Like, I had to. I was like, Spirit, I need you to teach me, because obviously I've taught myself very wrong. And I can't teach myself the right way because I don't know what the right way is, but I know Spirit does. And it's willing to teach me. And once again, what does that come back to? Childlike wonder. What does that come back to? Being your ability to play, your ability to just be like, okay, for me, before I come on, I think about, okay, why am I doing this live? Why am I going to do this? Well, because for me, I love to share my knowledge. I love to show people how easy it is to work with Spirit. I love to show them what happens to their lives as they work with Spirit. I love to explain how miracles are so easy and effortless. It just makes me so happy. I feel that joy. I feel it well up. And that's why when I come on, I'm smiling. That's why when I do these lives, I'm so expressive. And you see me just light up like a Christmas tree because I love it. It's what I love. And I am expressing that love, that joy, that fulfillment that comes from my ability to come on here and come live. And it doesn't matter if there's one person, 0 people, 6 people, 2,000. What matters is the way that I feel in that moment. And the way that I feel in this moment is joyful, is happy, exuberant, excited, ready for the day, ready to share more. And that's it. So that's something else that you all can do as well. Before you do something, really tune in. Why am I doing this? Once again, another great way to play. Okay, why am I doing this? What does it activate within me? What does it invoke within me? What emotion is here? And if it's not a pleasant emotion, well, then how can I shift that? What, Spirit, can you teach me how to make this for my healing? Can you teach me how to use this for my healing? How beautiful. You can use any situation for your healing, no matter what it is. Even if it's cleaning a toilet, if it's cleaning a sink, if it's cleaning the dirty dishes, Spirit. And once again, here comes the play. Spirit, teach me. I'm willing to be taught. Spirit, please use this for the coming of my peace. Spirit, let this be used to teach me about my own peace, about my own truth. So that is what I wanted to share today. I thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. And if you're interested in learning more about me or my services, you can of course go to my website, awakeningmiracles.org. Or if you're interested in learning more about me and any more of my free content, go ahead and go visit my YouTube channel. It's just Ron Schaefer AM. And you can find that on YouTube. I'll also post it in the comments so you guys can find that if you're interested in that.